but it's, again, it just tells the story of it's the evil and the ugliness of people's hearts these days is everywhere.
This is Franky Rose's Think Tank. Here's your host, Franky Rose.
Hi, everybody. So we have a press conference in regards to the bridge collapsing. So it sounds like it's going to be right away. So I thought maybe you would take a look at it. Special thanks to Mind and Monsters for pointing me in this direction. So much going on today, you guys. This is absolutely horrific. Let me just let me see what else I can find in a second here. Bridge collapses after a ship collision. Rescuers are searching for several people. 6 still unaccounted for. This is about 43 minutes ago. Container ship hit a major bridge in Baltimore, causing several vehicles to fall into the how do you say that? Patapsco River. Fire officials originally said crews were searching for at least 7 people in the water. A major bridge collision in Baltimore snapped and collapsed after a container ship rammed into it early Tuesday, leading to a search for several people. Maryland Transportation Secretary Paul Wiedfeld said at a mid-morning news conference that 6 people were unaccounted for after the incident at Francis Scott Key Bridge. The U.S. Coast Guard said multiple crews and boats are searching for the survivors. Chief James Wallace of the Baltimore Police Department at an earlier press conference said divers as well as sonar and infrared technologies are being utilized in the search. Sonar has detected the presence of 6 vehicles. Oh, goody. Sonar has detected the presence of several vehicles below the water's surface. The temperature in the river was about 8 Celsius in the early hours of Tuesday morning, according to a buoy that collects data for the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. Jesus, Lord Murphy. Hey, Mom, thank you very, very much for the heads up. I appreciate it much. Watching this thing earlier, it was like, oh, my God.
Hey, Bill. Are you here? So, Broom of Scott. How are you? I'm great, man. I produced a whole package. There you go. I know.
Okay.
Yeah. Hey, they asked me to come do this MTSB.
We're going to take a look at this really fast while we're waiting. I'll start it over. Oh, stuff. Look at all the cars. Oh my God. Oh, oh my Lord. Bless them and their families. Watch, you can see the cars once it goes. And there was workers under there. Oh my. Oh, just unreal. Oh, yeah, complete nightmare.
Wait, so you said what they do?
You guys, good Lord.
Okay. So, yep.
All right. So, what do you want to set up first? You want to set your mind up?
Okay, so they'll send it to me.
Sorry, I figured my paper was here.
Okay. Yeah.
No, he was supposed to be here.
Yeah, I'll reach out to her. And, yes,
I'm back to kill it.
Why?
I'm here right now.
All right. Let's see if I can get all this.
Is there anybody on this call I can brief?
Right. No, I'm the same way. I got you. Okay, well, great. Thank you for talking to me.
Oh, great. Hey, listen. Good. Mostly it's just a logistics conversation. I just need to let you
Just unreal.
This is mostly a logistics conversation.
Thank you, sir.
So I took care of all the people in the neighborhood sidebar, which you guys know about. And there's elements.
Unreal.
So maybe in that respect it's covered.
I mean,
Secondly,
you get up in the morning and you're heading off to wherever. That's not what you're expecting.
It's a 2-camera operation. So one camera is locked down on the podium. And the only way you can do it
Found.
is back away from that.
Oh, I'm
I
sure.
gave up, bro.
I'm sure you're
You
right.
see that rail, don't you? I gave up.
But you're someone's filling in.
Yep, he's right here.
Sorry.
You got more here. There you go.
If I was you guys, I would suggest the podium. That's what I'm talking
You're
about.
so stuck. What else you got?
Probably. Yeah. But anyway, I mean, I really, I don't. Are you done with this offer?
No. My replacement's here.
Okay.
What's your stick?
Oh, sorry.
They already served it all.
Thanks, Mark.
Yep. Right here.
Taste.
Yep, right there.
About me.
I don't want to.
We've already worked set in stone for 1 o'clock. Yes, he's what? Here at this podium.
mine right where he
We're
was?
setting up right now. Setting out tomorrow. You will have a demonstration. You can see.
Is that about right?
Oh my God. Where's that coming from? Isn't that something? Oh, wondered where that was coming from. Oh my word. Look at how small those boats look. Whoa. Oof.
Side street where the church is. I don't think you're going. I don't think you're going to get any families over there. I think that's all been taken care of. But I'm just saying, there's like this whole secondary scene that's about 3/4 of a mile from this primary scene where I am. So, in terms of staffing it, if you need a nuts and bolts person to wrap this whole thing up, if that's me, I'm going to stay here at this location and I'll be that individual. Your sidebar on the north side of the bridge is the Mount Olivet Baptist Church and that whole neighborhood area because lots of gawkers and onlookers are showing up there.
Let's go over here for a second. A view of the container ship named Dally that hit the Francis Scott Key Bridge in Baltimore on Tuesday, causing it to collapse. The steel frame of the Francis Scott Key Bridge sits atop of the container ship Dolly. Do I have my volume on? I do. Oh, the container ship Dolly after the bridge in Baltimore collapsed on March 26th. The bridge collapse sent multiple vehicles and at least 7 people plunged into the harbor below, rescue officials have said. The Dolly was headed from Baltimore to Colombo, Sri Lanka, and flying under a Singapore flag, according to the data from marine traffic. The ship is about 300 meters long and about 48 meters wide, according to the website. Oh my God. Synergy Marine Group, which owns and manages the Dolly, confirmed that the vessel hit a pillar of the bridge at about 1:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, while 2 pilots were in control. The company said that all crew members, including the pilots, were accounted for, and there are no reports of injuries. Oh, unreal. 27 days, I think that this was going to take them to get there. I think that's what I heard. Coast Guard vessels secure the perimeters after the cargo vessel hit the bridge. Key Bridge spans the Patapsco River, a vital artery that, along with the port of Baltimore, is a hub for shipping on the U.S. East Coast. Baltimore Fire Department officials said divers, along with sonar, infrared technologies, are being used to search for the people missing after this bridge collapsed. What a mess. Parts of the Francis Scott Key Bridge remain intact after the collision. The vessel sails past shipping cranes at the port of Baltimore and under the Francis Scott Key Bridge is this June 2012 photo. The bridge, which opened in 1977, was named for the writer of the Star-Spangled. Oh, there you go. Jeez. Oh, my word. So we did cover this earlier, and this was the press conference by Governor Wes Moore. And we did look at that earlier, like I said. And over here, they're still waiting for this to start up. Let's see what else I can get here. Baltimore Key Bridge collapse live updates, at least 6 unaccounted for, no evidence
When you're
of
one of
error.
the more than 4 million Canadians living with diabetes.
That's good to know. No sign of bad guys doing this. Wow. Makes you ill. I would have to say water is my biggest, out of anything, that I have the most respect for and concern about.
Tough and hectic morning, and an incident that occurred around 1:35 a.m. Eastern time. Now that sunlight is coming up, and Elizabeth Schulze is there on the scene for us. And Elizabeth, what can you tell us about what's happening from your vantage point? We see it there behind you.
Hey, good morning, Rebecca. And you heard the mayor there say this is an active search and rescue effort. And you can really get a sense of the scale of this mission from our vantage point. What you're looking at is what's left standing of the Key Bridge. You can see there the cargo ship completely surrounded by the bridge that's collapsed, the bridge cut off completely as you head east out of Baltimore. You can also see the intense presence of the U.S. Coast Guard and state police.
Just look at that. Oh my God. Jesus, Lord Murphy.
Weather here has been a challenge. It was dark up until a couple of minutes ago. Temperatures are frigid, and we heard police say that this is a massive area that they are searching. The tide is coming in. That will pose an additional challenge. They're searching below the water, on the surface. Sonar activity, they say, has detected the presence of some vehicles underwater. And I will say, guys, I did just speak with a neighbor here who said that she heard the bridge collapse around 1:30 a.m.
Can you imagine? First off, I can't even imagine being in one of those vehicles when this bridge, that just makes me want to vomit. But the sound this must have made.
She told me it sounded like a plane was landing in her backyard. Lindsay.
And we do know, Elizabeth, that search and rescue is paramount at this hour. Our thanks to you.
Lordy, Lordy, guys.
When you're one of the more than 4 million Canadians.
Unreal, you guys. Oh, it's so sad. Oh, yeah. Hey, my dogs are moving furniture around. No, we're just waiting. I've got it down in the corner here, and probably my bad. I jumped on pretty fast. I didn't even, might be in 10 minutes, maybe. See what else I can find. So I did in earlier streams show this when it first happened. Well, not first happened, but in the morning. And we did catch a couple press updates. So if you haven't seen them, check out the list. They are there for you. Oh, so what is this? So we have so there's no volume on this? How can that possibly be? Oh, we don't want to sit there while it begins shortly, do we? Okay, here we go.
Good afternoon. Before I leave for North Carolina, which I'm going to do in a few minutes, I want to speak briefly about the terrible incident and accident that happened in Baltimore this morning. At about 1:30, a container ship struck the Francis Scott Key Bridge, which I've been over many, many times commuting from the state of Delaware in our train or by car. Been the water into the river, and multiple U.S. Coast Guard with the delegations of the region. Good afternoon. Before I leave for North Carolina, which I'm going to do in a few minutes, I want to speak briefly about the terrible incident and accident that happened in Baltimore this morning. At about 1:30, a container ship struck the Francis Scott Key Bridge, which I've been over many, many times commuting from the state of Delaware in our train or by car. Been in Baltimore Harbor many times. And the bridge collapsed, sending several people and vehicles into the water, into the river. And multiple U.S. Coast Guard units, which are stationed very nearby, thank God, were immediately deployed along with local emergency personnel. And the Coast Guard is leading the response to the port, where representatives from the Federal Highway Administration, the FBI, the Department of Transportation, the Army Corps of Engineers, as well as Maryland officials and Baltimore Police and Fire, are all working together to coordinate an emergency response. Officials at the scene estimate 8 people were unaccounted for still, not still, were unaccounted for. That number might change. 2 have been rescued, 1 without injury, 1 in critical condition. And the search and rescue operation is continuing for all those remaining as we speak. I spoke with Governor Moore this morning, as well as the Mayor of Baltimore, the county executive, both United States senators and the congressman. And my Secretary of Transportation is on the scene. I told them we're going to send all the federal resources they need as we respond to this emergency. And I mean all the federal resources. And we're going to rebuild that port together. Everything so far indicates that this was a terrible accident. At this time, we have no other indication, no other reason to believe there's any intentional act here. Personnel on board the ship were able to alert the Maryland Department of Transportation that they had lost control of their vessel, as you all know and reported. As a result, local authorities were able to close the bridge to traffic before the bridge was struck, which undoubtedly saved lives. Our prayers are with everyone involved in this terrible accident and all the families, especially those waiting for the news of their loved one right now. I know every minute in that circumstance feels like a lifetime. You just don't know. It's just terrible. We're incredibly grateful for the brave rescuers who immediately rushed to the scene, and to the people of Baltimore who want to say, we're with you. We're going to stay with you as long as it takes. And like the governor said, you're Maryland tough, you're Baltimore strong, and we're going to get through this together. And I promise we're not leaving. Here's what's happening now. The search and rescue operation is our top priority. Ship traffic in the Port of Baltimore has been suspended until further notice, and we'll need to clear that channel before the ship traffic can resume. The Army Corps of Engineers is on the spot and is going to help lead this effort to clear the channel. The Port of Baltimore is one of the nation's largest shipping hubs, and I've been there a number of times as a senator and as a vice president. It handles a record amount of cargo last year. It's also the top port in America for both imports and exports of automobiles and light trucks. Around 850,000 vehicles go through that port every single year, and we're going to get it up and running again as soon as possible. 15,000 jobs depend on that port, and we're going to do everything we can to protect those jobs and help those workers. The bridge is also critical for travel, not just for Baltimore, but for the Northeast Corridor. Over 30,000 vehicles cross the Francis Scott Key Bridge on a daily basis. It's virtually, it's one of the most important elements for the economy in the Northeast and the quality of life. My transportation secretary is there now. As I told Governor Moore, I've directed my team to move heaven and earth to reopen the port and rebuild the bridge as soon as humanly possible. And we're going to work hand in hand with the support of Maryland to support Maryland whatever they ask for. We're going to work with our partners in Congress to make sure the state gets the support it needs. It's my intention that the federal government will pay for the entire cost of reconstructing that bridge, and I expect the Congress to support my effort. This is going to take some time. The people of Baltimore can count on us, though, to stick with them at every step of the way until the port is reopened and the bridge is rebuilt. You know, we're not leaving until this job gets done. Not leaving until then. So I just want to say God bless everybody who got everyone harmed this morning and their families. And may God bless the first responders, many of whom risking their lives. And the reason I'm not going to take a lot of questions, there's remaining issues that are open that we got to determine what's going to happen in terms of the rescue mission and the like. But
do you plan to go to Baltimore, sir? And if so, how quickly?
I do, and as quickly as I can.
You said the federal government's also going to pay for the repairs. I'm just curious, this was a ship that appears to be at fault. Is there any reason to believe that the company behind the ship should be held responsible? And then also, you mentioned
that could be, but we're not going to wait for that to happen. We're going to pay for it to get the bridge rebuilt and open.
What did you make of Israel's decision not to attend this meeting this week?
Oh, I don't want to get into that. We're going to have plenty of time to talk about Ross.
You mentioned the port. The port. Can I ask about cars? About the port.
Thank you.
I'm talking to myself again. So, right. Every stream at least once. That's what I'm wondering, though. Does he even have a clue? His sound. I can't hear you. I know. I'm sorry. Oh, Lordy. So, yeah, with that, with that mess up over and done with, he didn't have much to say, but I'm wondering if you're not right, Lori. I demand a refund. Hey, Tony. I just finished muting myself out. Oh, Lordy, Lordy. Okay, let me see here if there's anything else before we... So they are setting up over here. Lordy, lordy. So I'm hoping that this should be happening fairly soon. It looks like it. I just watched a guy walk by eating a banana. Hello, hello, hello. Yeah. I mute out my dogs, and then I forget I mute out my dogs. But trust me, I don't mind repeating myself. It's better than you having to listen to Jazzy and Lizzie scream at me. Press conference about that bridge going down, Baltimore Key Bridge. So the president just gave his opinion and said that the government's going to help, and answered. He just kind of stumbled out of there. He had nothing else to say. Towboat behind the ship when it happened. Coast Guard's boarding the towboat and took their cell phones and radios and told them, "Are you kidding me?" Oh, Lordy. Yeah. Oh, Lord. You've had stuff like that happen, you poor woman, you. You just had to listen to something else that was pretty horrific. Isn't that something? Yeah. Yeah, when Mr. Monster there had his, oh, Lordy. So I'm just going to see if there's anything else that we can look at while they're setting up. The BBC, I think not. Six people still missing. That's the number that they're throwing around still. Maryland Bridge collapses. Francis Scott Key Bridge. Terrifying. So this one says the ship lost power and sent a mayday before the crash. So I heard something about that this morning as well. And it sounds like they were able to get most of the vehicles off the bridge. Yeah, a big container ship drove right into it. And I guess it hadn't even slowed down. It was still at a fair clip, and it hit the bridge. Let me see here. Okay, we'll go over here. This is early.
Coast Guard is still actively searching at this time. We are using response boat crews from 2 of our local Coast Guard stations, one of our helo crews from an air station in Atlantic City, and also one of our cutter crews on one of our 87-foot patrol boats. We will continue to work with our local, state, and federal partners during this tragedy. Thank you.
Governor, you say at this point, is all traffic in and out of the harbor stop at this point?
Governor, as far as you are aware, was the collapse of that bridge inevitable as that ship hit that part of the bridge?
No, we're still in the process of investigating exactly what happened. So we don't have any further details about whether or not it was inevitable or not.
But no structural issue with the bridge?
No, there was, in fact, the bridge was actually fully up to code, so we have no further information about what happened during that time.
Governor, is all shipping in and out of the port now stopped completely? And do you have any estimate very early on as to how long it will be before shipping can resume to the Port of Baltimore?
Yeah, we don't have any estimates on timeline because right now our exclusive focus is on saving lives. Our exclusive focus is on search and rescue.
Could you give us a better sense for the number? Because we've heard, I know Mr.
So this was earlier, but it gives us, if you didn't see that, it gives us some information as to what did happen at this point.
Wiedefeld said one had been rescued, but earlier from Baltimore we heard that 2 have been rescued. Can you tell us the total numbers we're talking about that that you're searching for, and how many have been rescued?
Well,
there are 8 individuals. 6 are being searched for right now. 1 is was taken to the hospital, and 1 is not in the hospital that we're speaking to.
So 6 unaccounted for.
Yes.
And does that involve individuals that may have been in vehicles that went in the water? Or is that just the construction? No.
We believe it's a construction crew.
What about so we don't think there's anyone in vehicles in the water?
No, we do not believe so.
Okay, what's that question right here? Take this question here.
Governor, how quickly did you find out about what happened here, and what was your reaction when you heard the scale of what just occurred in that bridge?
Well, I mean, I think it was probably within minutes of everything, less than an hour, when I know that my phone first rang, and first from the mayor of Baltimore and also from our chief of staff, and it was we know the Key Bridge. I've ridden over the Key Bridge countless times. So many of us know the Key Bridge because it is our normal commute. This is a place.
Did you hear from him earlier? I think this is just going to show a little bit more, but this was obviously a malfunction on that massive ship. When you take a look there, look at how tiny the boats are. I think there's some buoys out there, it looks like. But yeah, it just took it down.
Place that is a normal commute route for over 30,000 Marylanders every single day. And so to hear the words that the Key Bridge has collapsed, it's shocking and heartbreaking. And immediately the first thought.
So yeah, a Mayday did go out, and they were able to warn. They were able to give a warning before there was more people on that bridge. They shut them down.
Thought and the first ideas go back to what happened to the people, what was the impact on human life. But for every single one of us who are Marylanders, the words that the Key Bridge is gone, it still shakes us. Because for 47 years, that's all we've known. And so this is not just unprecedented from what we're seeing and what we're looking at today. It's heartbreaking.
After closing its doors for renovation,
All right, so
the
we'll
Yale
take a
Peabody
look.
Museum in
Looks like they're setting this up. So we'll go here. There we go. No, welcome to the zoo, Lori. No problems. Yeah, it says what I've been hearing is basically that there was a malfunction and they weren't able to slow it down. They weren't able to do a lot of things, and it went right off course and straight into that bridge. $2:30 Eastern Standard. Is that what it's supposed to be? Might be delayed now. Well, that's okay. That's okay. I can come back. We heard from the president. We heard a little bit of from, I think he's the mayor, is he not? Mexi, do you know that by chance? Or Mom? I have to do some poking around. Carrie. Tony. Oh, Lordy, Lordy. So has anybody else heard? Michael, can you tell me where you got that info just so I don't? Tracking. So let me see if I can find anything, guys. See what we can find out here, friends. Oh, okay. Thanks, Denise. So what did Biden say? Is he going there? Or if he has time? Is that what he said? I'm not 1,000%. Okay. Thanks. Thank you. Okay, guys. So I'm going to jump off. It sounds to me like 12. Well, thank you. Whoever gave me that time there. Want to thank you, Michael. 2:30 Eastern is when they're doing this press conference. So don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and hit that bell so you don't miss it. And thanks again, everybody. I appreciate you. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.